Story from Owsley County, something that happened long ago. Take me down to the banks of the river, sing me a song about home. Let's tell our own story, let's sing our own songs, let's grow.
In the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that yonder dressed in red? Wade in the water. Must be the children that Moses led. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water, and God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that yonder dressed in white? Wade in the water. Must be the children of the Israelites. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that yonder dressed in blue? Wade in the water. Must be the children that's coming through. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Debts keep rising above our head. I wish that we could save instead. Say money's our God, makes our decisions. But if money's our God, I want a new religion. Take care, carpool, traffic jam. Daddy's working late again. Our kids are raised by someone else. I'd rather be with them myself. Say money's our God, makes our decisions. But if money's our God, I want a new religion. I fall down on my fields and pray we'll get out of this debt someday. How much stuff do we think we need? Grandma would have called greed. Tell me what we're working for, 'cause I never see you anymore. Say money's our God, makes our decisions. But if money's our God, I want a new religion. I fall down on my bills and pray we'll get out of this debt someday. Say money's our God. I have exhausted my potential. I have dreamed my last dream. I have flaunted my credentials. There's no credit left for me. I'm overextended. Yeah, I'm overdrawn. Never mind my intentions. I have no idea I would live this long, but it's gonna get better in the morning. I'm gonna be a brand new man. I'm gonna put one foot in front of the other. Yeah, I'm gonna do the very best that I can. I have observed from my perspective, yeah, the view from where I stand, and I do conclude that the objective is when you don't know what to do, you just do what you can. Everybody, I'm overextended. Yeah, I'm overdrawn. Never mind my intentions. I have no idea I would live this long, but it's gonna get better in the morning. I'm gonna be a brand new man. I'm gonna put one foot in front of the other. I'm gonna do the very best that I can. That's all expect me is to do the very best that we can.
Do a little bit of old Sandy. You're a little too old to cut the mustard. When I was young and a lot of help, I get around and need no help. Now I'm old and getting gray, and the girl don't look at me and say,
Too old, he's too old to cut mustard anymore.
"He's getting
Too old, he's too old to cut the mustard anymore.
When I was young, like here, now I'm in a new land this year. Used to be a couple forget with, now I'm lucky with your name.
Too old, he's too old to cut the mustard anymore.
He's getting
Too old, he's too old to cut the mustard anymore.
When I was young, I had an automobile, took myself front on the back wheel, had to find the gal up with a stick, but now they say, oh, he makes me sick.
Too old, he's too old to cut the mustard anymore.
He's getting
Too old, he's too old to cut the mustard anymore. He's too old to cut the mustard anymore.
Old tin roof, leaves in the gutter, holding the screen door big as your fist, flies on the butter. Mama baking sugar cookies, we were watching cartoons. Heard her holler from the kitchen, which one of you young'uns wants to lick the spoon? Yellow jackets on the watermelon, honeysuckle in the air. Daddy turning on the sprinkler, us kids running through it in our underwear. Oh, dog napping on the front porch, his ear just a twitching. Fell asleep on Granddaddy's lap to the sound of his pocket watch ticking. Whoa, doesn't seem like it was all that long ago. You can dream about it every now and then, but you can't go home again. Me and my best friend Jenny set up a backyard camp, stole one of Mama's mason jars, poked holes in the lid and made a firefly lamp. Me and Billy Monroe sneaking down by the river, and I'm still haunted by the taste of the kiss I was too scared to give in. Whoa, doesn't seem like it was all that long ago. You can dream about it every now and then, but you can't go home again. There's a blacktop road, a faded yellow center line. It can take you back to the place, but it can't take you back in time. Whoa, doesn't seem like it was all that long ago. Whoa. but you can't go home again. Old tin roof, leaves in the gutter, a hole in the screen door big as your fist, and flies on the butter.
I've been having a lot of trouble. There's three old maids, as a matter of fact, lived up above me. They'd out of picking poke salad a while back, and there's an old tramp got in their house while they's gone. They come back in pretty late and had all their poke salad. One of them said, somebody's been in my bed. Here's pillars all over the place and the floor and everything. The other, in her room, she said, somebody's been in my room. The cupboard's off on the floor and everything, mud all over the place. Way in the lower room, the other old maid said, good night, girl.
We're going to do a real pretty song. Y'all like it? I ain't talking about Hank Jr., I'm talking about the old Hank Williams, the one that really could write songs. So this is a beautiful song on the harp. Go ahead, play it, Brett. Hear that lonesome whippoorwill, he sound too blue to fly. The midnight train is winding low, not so lonesome I cry. Did you ever see a robin weep when the leaves begin to die? That means he's lost his will to live, and I'm so lonesome I could cry. And I'm so lonesome I could cry. Headed down south to the land of the pine, on my way to North Carolina. Staring out the road, pray to God I see headlights. Headed down the coast in 17 hours, Maybe a blue jay dogwood flower, and I'm hoping for Raleigh I see my baby tonight. Y'all hit me? So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. Play it pretty, son. Running from the cold, up in New England, I was born to be in England. There's old time train band. My baby plays the guitar, I pick the banjo now. Oh, North Country winters keep a getting me low. Lost my money playing poker, so I had to up and leave. But I ain't turning back, living that old life no more. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. Yeah. Walking through the south, down Roanoke, colored trucker out of Philly, and the night's a long tour. He's a headed west from the Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee, and I gotta get a move on before the sun. I hear my baby calling my name, and I know that she's the only one. If I die in Raleigh, at least I will die free. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. I'm going down this road feeling bad. I'm going down this road feeling bad. I'm going down this road feeling bad, Lord, Lord. Ain't gonna be treated as a way.
welcome to Home Song. I'm Bob Martin, I'm the director.
And I'm Jennifer Bryant. I've kind of been the point person for the Owsley County Action Team on this project. This actually all started in November with the planning, grant writing, and all that kind of fun stuff involved with getting something like this going. There's lots of people to thank, and I'll let Bob take care of it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you all for being out here, for supporting this project. This is just amazing. We had overwhelming support last night. We have another sold-out house. I think it's just evidence that there are amazing stories and songs to tell in this community, and we want to keep those things going. This is not a one-time deal. The main goal of this project from the start was to establish something that we can continue on in perpetuity. So the way this project began is that we started sitting down with folks and gathering stories, story circles, interviews. The action team was just there to open calls for folks who had stories about ancestors or anyone who wanted to come in. And we started shaping those stories with this amazing group of storytellers and songwriters, the folks you'll see on stage and the folks you see in your program who are not able to be on stage with us tonight. Just a big shout out to our amazing writers, the great Ann Shelby, who's here tonight. Also, Carrie Brunk helped write it, and I helped write it as well. Our musical director, Glenn Baker, thank you very much. Promise Neighborhood teaching artist, Taylor Dye was assistant director and a choreographer. Thank you, Taylor, for doing that. Mitch Barrett, who was helping us write songs and who's been there since the beginning. Thank you, Mitch. We wouldn't be able to do this without the support of the Brushy Fork Institute, Leadership Development out of Berea College, and Promise Neighborhood. The Promise Neighborhood initiative has been amazing and just really given us a lot of background and support. And then also the staff and members of the Owsley County Action Team just really being there for all of us. So big thanks to those folks. So I want to remind folks that if you have something that beeps, that is in your pocket or in your purse or somewhere, please turn that to vibrate or silent or off, because it will be distracting. Hey, Molly. Yeah, big thanks to Molly Turner. If you want to take a photograph, that's fine. Just turn your flash off, because it gets we can't really see a lot out here with the bright lights, and it could cause an actor to stumble. So please turn your flashes off. Also, big thanks to Prtc for recording this event. Thank you, Prtc. They're giving us an archived copy and then also going to broadcast it on their channel, so we're really excited for that partnership as well. So it's 2 acts. There's going to be a 10-minute intermission with music. Sit back and enjoy the show. Thank you all very much.
Tell me a story from Owsley County, something that happened long ago. Take me down to the banks of the river, sing me a song about home. Let's tell our own story, let's sing our own song, let's grow our own gardens, let's grow He's here beside the stream. Take care of these children. Let's tell them our dream. Be a story from Owsley County. Something that happened long ago. Take me down to the banks of the river. Sing me a song about home. Take me down to the banks of the river. Sing me a song. Sing me a song about home.
I'm from Applegate, the home of sweet milk and cornbread.
I'm from Bright Summer Watermelon, and I'm from Bear Run and Bee Branch.
I'm from Live While You're Young, Upper Buffalo, Lower Buffalo.
I'm from Avalon Big Springs, where if you don't try, you already chose to fail. And sweet smell of fried chicken wafted through the air.
I'm from fish we caught in the river, Daddy cleaned on the back porch, and Mama fried in the kitchen. Conklin.
I'm from school teachers, storekeepers, tobacco farmers, and moonshiners.
I'm from a small stream down from the forest, Cow Creek and Doe Creek.
I'm from soup, beans, and cornbread.
Yeah!
Green Cove.
I'm from my home after the rain, Greenmount.
And I'm from rolling hills and beautiful sunsets, Vincent.
I'm from where 1 foot walks in reason and logic, and the other foot walks where the earth sparkles and there's magic in the trees, Island City.
I'm from the earth, the Turner Farm Fish Creek. I'm from slow and solemn songs sang by the band.
I'm from old Baptist hymnals. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
I'm from Morning Has Broken.
I'm from Banjers, George Jones, and the Beatles.
I'm from Loving Spoonfuls and songs that believe in magic.
I'm from exotic sushi by candlelight, Meadow Creek and Newberry.
I'm from working hard, Pebworth and Pleasant.
I'm from the fast lane, the slow lane, and the breakdown lane. Sexton's Creek and Racetown.
I'm from up under the maples where the shade is cool. Sugar cane.
I'm from South Fork and Sakura.
I'm from slow late night conversations with my family, State Kentucky.
I'm from Owsley County Schools, Little Sturgeon.
And I'm from Turning Rocks over in the creek.
I'm from Big Sturgeon.
And I'm from a simple, loving family life.
I'm from Lee Rose.
I'm from Indian Creek, and I'm from Wolf Creek.
I'm from the home of Frank Camel, Hoopalera.
Did you just say Hoopalera? Now I can get how you got Cow Creek and Indian Creek and Wolf Creek, but Hoopalera.
Well, it's probably an old Native American word that means a remote mountainous community 14 miles southeast of Boone.
I bet you're wrong. I bet it's from all those owls whooping around there.
Or Indians.
Or Haines.
Maybe. What I heard was,
Here we go.
one dark night, way back, a long time ago, way up in that mountain, way up in the night,
Will you get on with it already?
there was some guys. They were hunting and camping. They just settled in for the night and everything got real quiet. And all of a sudden they heard something
That
right
big
behind
owl
them.
screeching. An Indian.
Hey!
I don't know. Whatever what it was, it scared them half to death. They took out of there as fast as they could go in all different directions. But after a while, things settled down and they all came back to camp. All with this one guy, a guy named Larry. They couldn't find Larry, so they had...
Don't tell me. Let me guess. They all hollered and
Whoop
for Larry.
And you can still hear the ghosts.
Well, that's not what I heard. My great-great-granddaddy, he grew up in Wolflare, and he told me that Larry was a pretty bad drunk. While he'd go out and get so drunk, he'd get lost up in them woods and couldn't even find his way home. His poor wife, she had to get up in the middle of the night and get dressed and go outside and holler and
Whoop for Larry.
And you can still hear the ghosts. But that ain't it at all. There's this girl named Laura, and everybody called her Lori. Well, she'd get out in the woods and she'd be going down through the branch and stuff and picking up crawdads and chasing butterflies and sniffing flowers, you know, what little girls does sometimes. And it'd get late and it'd get time to eat, and her mommy and daddy would send her brothers and sisters out to all hollering, "Whoop for Lori!" And you could still hear their ghosts.
Did you know Daniel Boone was an Owsley County.
Daniel Boone was a lot of places.
Yeah, but he kept coming back here in the 1770s and 1780s. He lost it. He called it a place where peace crowns the sylvan shade.
Huh?
They tended to talk real fancy back then.
Yeah, he first come on one of his big long hunts. You could get a lot of money for skins and furs. Only the hunters and trappers knew about this place now.
The Indians, they knew it. The Cherokee.
I mean, the Shawnee, they knew this place too.
Why, out in the garden, we're always finding arrowheads and pieces of knives and spear points. Got a whole box of them at the house.
Just so do we. You know, they say Daniel Boone camped at a place about half a mile south of Boone.
Yeah, somewhere down there next to Sag Branch, maybe before we go.
Yeah, and he'd bring men from down on the settlement to Boonesboro to hunt.
What's such a good hunting ground.
Then later, he came back to survey for a man named James Moore. Surveyed more than 50,000 acres. He used that rock at the mouth of Sexton's Creek, his beginning point. That's what they called it in the old days.
You know, I heard there's a big old cave of a place back in that rock.
A rock house, and that's where Daniel Boone said on that surveying trip.
Yeah, they said he carved his initials right in there, DB.
I've heard that too, but you can't see it now.
Why not?
It's underwater. You know, they say Daniel Boone even claimed a lot of land around here for himself, but most of it somebody else had already claimed.
Well, yeah, and DB Jr. sold the rest.
Some of old Daniel's descendants are buried around here, up around Pebworth.
Guys, just think. Daniel Boone's initials carved into a rock at the mouth of Sexton's Creek.
And a big old catfish down there looking at it.
You know, I wish I could have saw this place the way that Daniel Boone saw it, the way that Mother Nature intended it.
Imagine these hillsides covered in virgin forest, trees 10, 12, 15 feet across.
So there was plenty of good timber for building cabins and barns.
Good warm fires in the winter.
Good for hunting and that game in the woods, you know, ideal for hunting.
Creeks, springs, the river, plenty of good clean water.
That's ideal for fishing too.
And all that bottom land down next to the river to grow crops.
You know, it must look pretty good to him then, the Abners and the Bakers.
The Bowmans and the Gabbards.
The Morrises and the Moores.
And more.
They came from Virginia, most of them.
And from England and Ireland and Germany before that.
Through the Cumberland Gap, then down the Wilderness Trail or the Warriors Path.
Or down the river in boats.
To Owsley County?
Only they didn't call it Owsley County then. They called it the South Fork Country.
You know, I bet that all these little places around here where people live have stories, all these hollers and hillsides.
People have died and loved one another.
And fought one another.
And delivered their babies and worked and raised children.
Happiness and sorrow.
For more than 200 years now.
The young man said, come go with me to Booneville town, Kentucky. The river's clean and the hills are green. To live there we'd be so lucky. My darling dear, my one true love. I hate so much to go off to the north, so flat and drear, into the cold winter snow. I go to earn the gold, to feed our young so dear, to buy some land and build a home, and never more be here. I'm so homesick for the mountains, the river, hills, fields and trees. The loving arms surround me, sweet flowers in the gentle breeze. I can smell my mama's cooking. It fills my heart young man said, come go with me to Booneville town, Kentucky. The river's clean and the hills are green. To live there we'd be so lucky. I know you feel my sorrow, seeing tears in my friend's eyes. So they bury me tomorrow 'neath the blue Kentucky skies. The young man said, come go with me to Booneville town, Kentucky. The river's clean and the hills are green. To live there we'd be so lucky. The river's clean and the hills are green. To live there we'd be so lucky.
So all the Abners and the Bakers and the Gabbers and the Bowmans were clearing land and putting up cabins, what would later be called Owsley County.
This would have been the 1790s.
The Moors were settling in a place that would later be called
Booneville.
Owsley Courthouse.
James Moore and his sons,
The ones Daniel Boone did the survey for.
The ones that eventually cleaved under the Bowman girls.
The Moors owned a lot of land in the area, so they called them that settlement Moore Station.
When Owsley County was formed,
In 1843.
Elias Moore's son, James Moore, donated an acre of land to be used for a courthouse.
A log building, long gone now.
And in the event that said designated land is no longer being used for said designated purpose, i.e. a county courthouse, then said designated land will revert to the legal possession and ownership of Elias Moore, his heirs and assigns forever.
Hey, wasn't that the first courthouse that burned?
Some say it did, some say it just got replaced and they started building with brick more towards the end of the century, the late 1800s.
I know that burned.
Yeah, we've lost a few of them over the years.
So Henry Gabbard.
On behalf of a group of local citizens, Henry Gabbard petitioned the General Assembly of Kentucky.
He wrote the petition in German.
Couldn't they get anybody else to do that?
Requesting that a new county be formed.
Oh, well, I guess that's a good idea.
Yeah, das ist good. Sehr good.
The legislature approved it, and they named the county Owsley after William Owsley. He was about to become Kentucky's next governor, so I guess he had a little pull.
so Owsley County became Kentucky's 96th county.
Go Owls.
You know, Owsley County was a lot bigger then than it is now.
What are you talking about? Counties don't shrink like sweaters.
Well, in 1858, they took a little off to help make Jackson County, and in 1860, they took a little more off to make Wolfe County.
In 1870, they took a pretty big chunk to make Lee County.
Whoa!
Nein, das ist nicht
Hold
gut.
up. They took a part of Owsley County away and made it in, you know, they took Lee County and made it in Owsley. That
Make
is
good,
a
make good.
bad idea, and you're right. That's not a good idea.
Well, to be fair, they had taken parts of Breathitt, Clay, and Eshel to make Owsley County.
Well, that's different.
So let me get this straight. Owsley was formed in 1843, and Moore Station was made the county seat. And Elias Moore donated the land for the courthouse.
And Elias Moore's son, James Moore Jr., was the town's first postmaster. He changed the name of the little town from Moore Station to
Booneville?
Owsley Courthouse.
Owsley Courthouse?
They renamed it Owsley Courthouse. See, they put up the first courthouse there on that site in 1844.
Mm-hmm.
The log building, long gone now.
First one that burned.
The town of Boone was officially incorporated in 1847. Go Owls.
And it's still the smallest county seat in the state.
Go Owls.
amazing people have gone towards building the place that we live now. I'd like to tell you a story of my great-great-grandmother, and she's quite possibly, a lot of people in this room are aunts, have maybe descended from her. Her name was Emily Muncie. On November the 13th, 1833, Emily Muncie, at 9 years old, was traveling to Kentucky in a wagon train. Now on this night, there was an amazing meteorite shower. People all over the country were believing that this was the end of the world. And they were in their homes praying. People out in the woods, there was some long hunters down in where now it's Owsley County on Rockhouse Creek. And these fellers, they were the kind of fellers that would go bear hunting with a switch. They didn't care about nothing. They put their powder horns and they laid them out 100 yards away from their camp, lest, quote, the fire from the heavens ignite them. Well, in the meantime, in the Muncie's wagon train, the adults were up under the wagons. They were praying for salvation from the rain of fire from the sky. And little 9-year-old Emily Muncie was standing out with her apron and running around in the camp trying to catch a star. She later came to what's now Owsley County. She grew up, became an herbalist and a midwife. She served her whole life in the community. These are the stones that we're built of here in Owsley County.
In 1850, Owsley County had a population of 3,374. Before the Civil War, Owsley Countyans, for the most part, did their works, grew their crops, and took care of their families. They enjoyed the beauty of this place and the company of their neighbors. They did things for one another back then. They had
bean stringings and apple peelings,
quiltings and candy making,
log rollings and barn raisins, and rowdy square dances on Saturday nights. Then Sunday go to meetings and dinner on the Grange. Sing it loud and bring it from the heart.
Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints at the river that flows by the throne of God. So why did they gather at the river again?
Why, for baptizing, honey.
Oh, and swimming and fishing.
And during Prohibition for getting rid of evidence.
So that's probably drank out of the river.
Yeah, we gather at the river.
I guess Owsley County was always a quiet, peaceful place, except for when it wasn't. June 23, 1851, tragedy in Kentucky. The Frankfort Commonwealth gives an account of a tragic affair in Booneville, Owsley County, Kentucky, on the 12th of May. There had been some difficulty between William Reynolds, John Reynolds, and Reese Evans, brothers-in-law, in relation to the division of some property. On that day, they met in the open street and had some conversation that resulted in blows. The two Reynolds men attacked Evans with sticks and stones, and he defended himself with a large butcher knife, with which he stabbed his assailants in such a manner that they died. Evans was severely beaten.
So they tell a story about my great-great-great-grandmother, Becky Miller, and her cousin.
And her very best friend, Molly McIntosh, and her other cousin.
And other very best friend, Lizzie Gabbard.
They were all about the same age.
Inseparable!
And getting to be pretty big chunks of girls.
Not as big a chunks as you thought we were.
And one day, they took a notion.
We took a notion
to go over to Aunt Tildy's house.
so she could teach us how to knit.
We were silly and thought we were probably going to be getting married pretty soon.
Though no one had really asked us yet.
But they might, and if they did,
then we would need to know how to knit.
So, we got all our knitting stuff ready.
Our needles, these big balls of yarn.
and started over the mountain to Tilly's.
We had to go past a graveyard.
And through the woods.
And down that dark holler.
And Molly was afraid.
I was not afraid. You were
You
afraid.
were
You
scared.
were a scaredy cat.
Yes, we were all scared of cats, okay? But we didn't let on it. We got to Aunt Tildy's house. And we visited.
And we ate a big supper.
And we practiced our knitting.
And we visited.
And then we had a big dinner.
And practiced our knitting.
And looked out the window and seen it was getting dark.
And we thought that we'd better head out.
So we gathered up our knitting tricks. Told Tildy bye. And lit out.
It was getting darker by the minute.
We ran past that graveyard as quick as we could.
And down that dark holler as quick as we could.
Singing as loud as we could.
To ward off paint and boogeymen.
But the only songs we could think of were about faith getting lost in the woods.
With ladies getting stabbed by daggers.
So we started telling stories. But the only stories we could think of were about pains.
Or children getting eaten by witches in the woods.
Or big bad wolves.
And finally, we got to that place where we had to jump that fence, remember?
Oh, yeah. And that's when it all started.
Hush, shh, shh. Listen, something's following us.
We heard something behind us rustling in the leaves.
We'd stop. It stopped.
We'd go. It'd go.
We'd go faster and go faster!
So we said,
Finally, Becca got so tired and out of breath, she had to stop. You want one?
save yourself. I can't do it no more. I can't run.
We begged her to come, but she just sat there on that stump. So we decided we had to leave her.
After a while, we heard her back there where we'd left her, hysterical.
It's Anger Bray! Lose her mind.
So we snuck back through the woods, hiding behind trees so things wouldn't see us to check on her.
And there she sat, on that tree stump where we'd left her at. With a big ball of yarn.
Without us knowing it, one of our balls of yarn fell out of the basket when we crossed that fence.
And that ball of yarn was hooked onto the knitting with the needle. So every step we took, that ball of yarn was falling right along behind us, scaring us right out of our silly heads.
50, 60 years later, Beck could still tell that story and laugh.
I never was a scaredy cat after that, she'd say. That ball of yarn cured me.
Now you can talk about your boogers and your hanks. I'm going to tell you something that really happened up on the waters of Cow Creek where I live, probably about 18 and 90. There's a man lived up there, a fine man. His name was Will Moore. He lived in a big 2-story weatherboarded house. Will had a fine family. Had one boy made a doctor. Will started being tormented. His hens started crowing. Why, his dogs was trying to bite them all. His cats went to barking. He was a very tormented man. One evening, Will was out putting his cattle up, and he looked down the road, seen old John B. Lewis a-coming. Old John B. was an old university preacher. John B.'s doctrine, everybody saved, because Christ died for the sins of the world. Nobody would go to hell. So Wilmore seen John B. a-coming and told him, said, come in. Why don't you stay all night with me, Uncle John B.? So John B. stayed all night. Long in the night, they were sitting by the fire, they began to talk. Wilmore told him what was going on in his life. John B. Lewis said, Wilmore, there's witches in this community somewhere, and you are being bewitched. He said, do you believe in them, John B. Lewis? He said, didn't you never read in the Holy Scripture where the witch of Endor brought Samuel from the dead? It's in your Bible, read it. That made a firm believer out of Wilmore. Now, he said, there's a man in Prtc County, John B. told Wilmore, that has a library on witchcraft. His name is Anthony Morris. He's a Baptist preacher. If you have any problems, send your boys over there. He'll give you a potion. He can take care of that stuff. Well, just in a few mornings, Murray went out to milk, Will's wife. Come back in with a milk bucket, about that much blood she'd milked out of the cow. She said, Wilmore, we can't stand this no longer. What are we going to do? Wilmore said, Charlie, get on that mule, go about 10 miles out of sight, the other side of Buckhorn, to the fifth fork of Gaze Creek, and inquire for one Anthony Morris. So he went. Old Anthony was out in the yard, and he rode up, and hitched his mule, went in the house, and he began to tell Anthony what was going on in their lives. He said, son, I don't even have to go to my library. I know what to do. He said, get you 9 needles, sewing needles. Get you a thimble. Put them in sour milk. Let them soak all night. Take them out the next morning. Put them under your doorstep. Lay a shovel over them. Witches travels all through the night. When they climb them doorsteps, that'll be the only time you'll be bothered. So they done that. The next day or two, the old woman went out and milked the cow, just as white as the drippings of snow that ever fell out of the heavens, that milk was. You had a few little problems after that, and it'd always go to Anthony. Finally, the witches quit bothering Wilmore. But now I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to look for a different spirit. I'm going to look for a spirit that comes from corn, makes you happy. I'm going to Old Jets Creek. Oh, went over on Old Jets Creek, I thought that was fun. Oh, like Mary shot at me and walked the time it comes. 38 cracking, bullets laying gone. Wouldn't mind dying, what they did to
Dead wrong.
Few and Owsley sided with the Confederacy.
You know that 1860 census showed 112 slaves in this county.
But most Owsley Countyans were with President Lincoln and the Union.
In fact, in proportion to population, Owsley County sent more soldiers to the Union Army than any county in the state.
A lot of them never returned. Some of them were buried up at the cemetery at Esau.
Both armies, North and South, passed through Owsley at different times.
In 1862, Union troops under General George Morgan came through Owsley County as they retreated from Cumberland Gap.
Another time, 1,000 Confederate soldiers camped here for the night. 500 of them right around Boone.
They say you could see fires all around the town.
The soldiers used whatever they could find to burn for their campfires. Sometimes they used split rail fence. Sometimes they burned even more.
Abijah Gilbert, a state representative from Owsley County, had cast the deciding vote on whether Kentucky would secede from the Union. Though a Democrat, he voted no.
And for that, my house was burnt during the war. On April the 7th, 1863, Confederate soldiers came and took every horse and mule I had, numbering 13. They got after my boys up the branch from the house, shot out most of their ammunition at them. Amidst a hail of musket balls, they broke over a steep bank and made their getaway. They then set fire to my house. They put my wife and my children out in the yard with nothing but the clothes on their backs. My wife got down on her knees and offered them $1,000 cash money to not burn our house. They held her off at musket point. The few things that she did get out of the house were taken from her by the rebels. The balance went to the flames.
Two brothers on their way, two brothers on their way, two brothers on their way, one more blue, one more gray. One more blue, one more gray, as they marched along their way. Pipe and drum began to play, all on a beautiful morning. One was gentle, one was kind. One was gentle, one was kind. One came back, one stayed behind. Cannonballs don't pay no mind if you're gentle or you're kind. You don't think of folks left behind or of a beautiful boy.
It wasn't just soldiers passing through the Owsley County that caused trouble.
Lawless bands.
Guerrillas.
Men not in either army took advantage of the war.
Rob, plunder, and kill.
In Owsley and all these counties around here.
And they could get away with it because most of the men were all fighting.
Because there was no law at all. Nobody was being prosecuted for anything. There wasn't even a court in Owsley.
They had to hide their livestock, their chickens, and their food. There's this one woman, she took all the money she had, which wasn't very much, out to her garden and she hid it. And she brought back a cabbage so that way they wouldn't suspect.
On April 14, 1864, a band of about 75 guerrillas descended on them.
But this time they didn't get away with it.
Boonville fought back. About 40 citizens armed and drove the guerrillas from town.
It was the Battle of Boonville.
And Boonville won.
Now the war had destroyed families and farms, crops, businesses, schools, and churches.
For the most part, Owsley had to rebuild all that they had lost.
And they did. From the Civil War to the turn of the century, they rebuilt the entire town.
And they did too, with the help of a healthy timber industry.
New houses, new churches, new people moving in.
New businesses, like a brickyard, a hardware store, a bank, a stave mill, and 38 schools.
If a place had a name, it usually had a one-room schoolhouse.
That's right. Google was bustling, buddy.
Working on a building, I'm working on a building, I'm working on a building, for my Lord, it's a Holy Ghost building, it's a Holy Ghost building, it's a Holy Ghost building, for my Lord, for my Lord. If I was gambling, I'd tell you what I'd do. I'd quit my gambling and I'd work on a building too. Working on a building, I'm working on a building. I'm working on a building for my Lord, for my Lord. It's Holy Ghost building, it's Holy Ghost building, it's Holy Ghost building for my Lord, for my Lord.
Shady Grove, pretty little miss. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, pretty little miss. Going back to Harlan. Paint and powder curled my hair the day he came a-calling. Ran off with my older sis and I commenced to squalling. Shady Grove, pretty little miss. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, pretty little miss. Going back to Harlan. Well, spring has sprung, summer's gone, fall is quickly fading. Guess I'll spend my winter months a sad and lonely maiden. Shady Grove, pretty little miss. Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, pretty little miss. Going back to Harlan. Kentucky, you are the dearest land outside of heaven to me. Kentucky, your laurel and your red trees. I die, I wish to be buried on a mountain so high. There is where God will look for me. Kentucky, I miss your old folks singing in the silvery moonlight. Kentucky, I miss your hound dogs chasing coons. I know that my mother, dad, and sweetheart are all waiting for me. Kentucky, I will be coming soon. Kentucky, I will be coming soon.
When I was a curly-headed baby, my daddy even sit me on his knee. Said, son, you'll go to school, learn your letters. Don't you be no coal miner like me. I was born and raised in the mouth of the hazard holler. Coal cars rolling, rumbling past my door. But now they're standing a rusty roll of empties. 'Cause the yelling don't stop here anymore. Last night I dreamt I went down to the office to get my pay like I done before. But them all cotton vines was growing on the doorway, and the trees and grass was growing up through the floor. I was born and raised in the mouth of a hazard holler. Old cars roll rumbling past my door. But now they're standing a rusty roll of empties. 'Cause the yelling men don't stop here. Daddy was a black man, scraping off to buy the company store. Oh, now he goes downtown with empty pockets. His face is white as a February snow. I was born and raised in the mouth of a hazard holler. Cars rolling, rumbling past my door. But now they're standing a rusty roll of empties. 'Cause the yelling men don't stop here. Never thought I'd live to learn to love the coal dust. Never thought I'd pray to hear the tipple roll. God, I wish the grass would turn to money. Them greenbacks fill my pockets once more. I was born and raised in the mouth of a hazard holler. Old cars rolling, rumbling past my door. But now they're standing a rusty roll of empties. 'Cause the yelling men don't stop here. When I was a curly-headed baby, my daddy, he would sit me on his knee. He said, son, you'll go to school, you'll learn your letters. Don't you be no coal miner. Don't you be no dusty miner like me.
Polly, pretty Polly, come go along with me. Your guess is about right. I dug on your grave till the heart of last night. She knelt before him, pleading for her life. She knelt before him, pleading for her life. Please let me be a single girl that can be your wife. Stabbed her through the heart, her heart blood it flowed. He stabbed her through the heart, her heart blood it flowed. And into the grave, pretty Polly did go. Gentlemen and ladies, I bid you farewell. Gentlemen and ladies, bid you farewell. For killing pretty Polly, will send my soul to hell. Polly, pretty Polly, come go along with me. Polly, pretty Polly, come go along with me. Before we get married, it's a pleasure to see. In the early 1930s, a wandering backpedaler by the name of Grandma Johnston came through Owsley County around Compton. The story says that Johnston was 70 years of age, sick, and needed shelter. The family of John Williams took care of him and let him live with them on their farm south of Boone. As Johnston got better, he took hammer and chisel and climbed the hill day after day behind the Williams house. Without the family knowing, he carved a magnificent image of Abraham Lincoln in a huge sandstone rock on their farm in appreciation for what they had done for him. Several years ago, a lunatic county judge bought the rock. The relief sculpture is listed in the Smithsonian Museum National Inventory of Folk Art.
Are you sure we can see it? It's not underwater.
No, it's not underwater. It just takes a while to find. Like a lot of things, the gems of this place are right there for those that just take the time to look.
Owsley as ancestors, we need to know where we came from and our landmarks, like the Abe Lincoln Rock, the Boone Rock, Pioneer Village, Cortland Church.
Owsley's Boone, Daniel Boone.
Owsley is churches, about as many as you can ask for.
Owsley's events like the Fair Week and the parade. I love Fair Week, especially when you can go to the fair every night. But that Friday's the parade, and the little kids are marching, and then there's the basketballers, and then there's the band. We're in these huge black uniforms with these feathers, and we're marching for what seems like forever and ever. And we finally get to the courthouse, and Mr. Baker's announcing his
And here comes Frankie Joe Baldwin.
And we keep on marching and marching and marching. And finally, when we get to BP, we're so hot and dying to get out of these uniforms. We're pouring water over our heads and trying not to pass out. Kind of makes you feel like a rock star.
Owsley's family picnic. Lots of good food like fried apple pies and chicken and dumplings.
Owsley is friendly people who still say hello.
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 Owsley's gardens. I grow peas, corn, sweet potatoes, squash, pumpkins, taters, tomatoes, onions, garlic. Fit to grow it all in the garden. I'll grow it.
Owsley is few, although a lot of us have learned how to get over those.
Owsley's backroom politics.
Owsley is home, and always will be.
Owsley is isolation. It can get lonely when you live far out.
Owsley is moonshine and marijuana.
You have the right to remain silent.
Owsley is Native Americans, the first peoples of these great hills.
Owsley is nature, pure and simple.
Owsley is pride in the cool things we have, like the golf course, the library, and the Memorial Building on the square.
Kendall's building?
Yes, Kendall's Building. It's on the National Register of Historic Sites. A fine example of 19th century commercial architecture.
Owsley is the South Fork of the Kentucky River that keeps on flowing straight from south to north. I have a lot of memories down there. I'd walk down there to that spot in the river with the swimming hole, and I'd just lean back against the hemlock tree, and I'd be thankful for the day.
Owsley is talented people, often underestimated.
Tight-knit communities.
Values.
War, we've always been there to answer the call.
And you. We need to take care of our youth.
Owsley is old-time music traditions.
Hot dog!
Owsley is people. So many amazing people. Like Dolly Bolin and Bertha Hensley. They were well-known quilters. Their quilt patterns have been patented and toured the country in exhibits. And some are hanging in the National Archives in Washington, D.C.
Or Effie Pearson. She was an old-time clawhammer banjo picker. She played with a lot of well-known old-time bands through her life. In the 70s, a Berea College archivist came and recorded her. She was playing tunes with names like Little Boy Working on the Road and Hog Skin.
And James Potter, he's from Owsley County too. He was Kentucky State Historian. And of course, Earl B. Combs.
One day, the phone rang. I picked it up. Now, this was in 1970. And a voice said, "Is this Earl Combs?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Mr. Combs, I'm happy to inform you you have been inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame." Now, who'd have thought? I thought the Hall of Fame was for superstars, not just average players like me. I was just this boy, growing up on Pepper, living on a farm, where we ate what we raised what we ate, and we never thought that was hard times. Now, when I got done working, boy, did I love to play baseball. We made our own balls, too. We'd take old wool socks Mother knitted in the winter. Daddy'd get them, tie that yarn up real tight, and take old shoe leather, cut it to fit, and stitch it up. We made our own bats, too, out of poplar. Now, every now and then, I get a hold of the ball a little too hard and come apart. But Daddy, he'd get it and just saw it right back up again. Now, I was one of 7 children growing up. They all made school teachers, so that's what I thought I'd do too. So I enrolled at Eastern after high school. I didn't play ball that first year. I didn't think I was quite good enough. But one day, I got in on a student versus faculty softball game. I got 2 home runs, so they recruited me for their team. So I was playing ball finally, going to classes, getting through by doing some different jobs. Then one day I got a telegram. It said, come to high school. That's all it said. So I went up to Owsley County, and one of those coal companies recruited me for their softball team. Then, a few years later, I went with the Little Colonels. After I played for them 2 years, the New York Yankees recruited me for their team. This was in 1922. I could get about 50 cents a day working on the farm, about $1 a day teaching school. But the Yankees, they paid me $50,000 to come with them. I played 14 seasons for the Yankees. Played center field, batted leadoff. They called us Murderers Row. Played with Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth. In 1927, won 110 baseball games. Took the World Series in a 4-game sweep. Then, after my playing days, me and my wife Ruth, she's from Owsley County too. She kept all the clippings in the scrapbooks throughout my playing days. When they inducted me into the Hall of Fame, they called me the Gentleman from Kentucky. But that's not what I like to call myself. I call myself an old country boy from Owsley County.
And there's a lot of people that come through here that you might not have even heard of. People who can play sports, music, sing, build things, grow gardens. We're for people who know how to
Survive.
work hard, find a way.
Not give up when things get hard.
Now that's who we're from. We're from people like that. We may be down, but we're not out.
And we ain't going nowhere.
Deep in the valley of your soul, tired of worries you can't control. So many mountains left to find, unanswered questions left to find. We go on. It's the first lesson learned when you're gone. On the wings of angels, we ride out the storm. You and me, we go on. Pull the stranger from the water. In that moment, he's your brother. There's a gift when you receive him. Love is the greatest reason we go on. We go on.
second courthouse burned in 1929, the year they marked the start of the Great Depression.
You know, I've heard a lot of those courthouses burned when all those mineral and timber companies started researching land rights. You know how it burned?
No, just a sign of the times, hard times.
I guess so, but hard times had already hit Owsley County again, long before they called it the Great Depression.
That's right. By the time that courthouse burned in 1929, Boone had busted. They managed to rebuild the courthouse by 1931.
A brand spanking new brick courthouse.
And those next several decades were some of the hardest we've seen.
Well, why's that?
Well, honey, by that time, most of the timber had been removed, and along with it, the economic lifeblood of the county. The mills closed, and by the 1940s or so, migration has started to depopulate the county as people left for the cities looking for work.
That's right, and because they cut the trees off so many of the steep slopes, a lot of the farmland had eroded too. That made it harder for people to raise their crops.
And farms were shrinking. They got split between the children of large families, and what had started out as hundreds and hundreds of acres big when the county was first settled turned into a few acres here and there.
As the farms got smaller, it was harder for people to make ends meet.
And a lot of young men were leaving to join the military. Several went overseas during World War II, and then later to the Korean and Vietnam War.
Well, it's just like today when men and women join force in Iraq and Afghanistan and other countries.
That's right.
TJ's coming home soon.
Yeah, I heard that too. It'll be good to have him back. He's been gone a long time.
Well, I hear a lot of them have a hard time going over there to Afghanistan and Iraq, though. All that stuff they see, it's gotta be hard.
Yeah, I reckon it is. It seems that way anyway, every time they have a war. Now, I'll tell you, when I was a teenager, almost a man, World War II broke out. And there's this fella lived down Rhoda Creek way. His name was Lonnie Baker. And buddy, he's up big, and I bet he was 6'5". I bet he is wide across his shoulders as an axe hand. He loved to laugh and cut up, and everybody knowed he was a gentle giant, though. Man, he could clog dance, best you ever seen. He didn't never seem to get tired from it. Every get-together they had in the community, they loved to see Lonnie come. Well, he decided he was going to get married when he was 28. He met this girl named Patsy Duncan. She's younger, about my age, 16 or 17. Well, when the war broke out and Lonnie was drafted, she was done carrying her fourth child. Well, Lonnie went down to the office there, to the draft office, and he said, "Now look," he said, "fellas, I got a wife, I got 3 daughters, I got another little young'un on the way." He said, "I can't be going across the ocean to fight no war and leave my family to starve." Well, they told him at the office, said Lonnie, said, "Anybody with 4 living children is exempt from service. But you only got 3 living children, and your wife's carrying one, so you're going to have to go anyway." And like many men from Owsley County, when our nation has called him, even though he didn't want to, he went ahead and he done what he had to do, and he went to war. Well, he left Patsy and them young'uns. It was just a couple of weeks before that Leaston was born. And he went, and I swear to you, for 4 years, I don't know how that woman fed them children. She scrapped and worked. It was root hog or die. They barely had clothes on or shoes. Well, Lonnie come back into the war. And man, was he ever different. That hard, clogging, smiling, fun-loving farm boy was flat gone. Everybody said after that he's nervous. Now you'd see little glimpses of what he used to be like before he went. But he just wasn't never the same. I guess seeing what he seen over there and doing what he done, it changed him forever. But he never would much talk to nobody about that.
I hope TJ don't come home like that.
TJ's a lot like that guy you're talking about. Big cut up, loves to laugh, likes to prank people too though. It'd be a shame if he took all that fun loving over there and didn't come back with any of it.
You know, Mom was in the Army 20 years ago, and when she came back, she happy to be here, right here on Big Spring, and never wanted to leave again.
Does she still work at the phone company?
Yeah, reckon she does. About to retire soon. Wants to get back to the garden and spend some time with the grandchildren. She said she had to learn a whole lot of new stuff whenever the internet came out. I reckon a lot of people got on that though.
Aunt Jessie sure did, didn't she? She likes to get on Facebook and check up on the grandkids.
Well, that reminds me of another one. Y'all may have heard this anyway, but
We've heard them all, Uncle Luther. Doesn't stop us from listening though.
well, I appreciate you don't throw rocks at me anyway when I try to tell a tale to you. Now, I reckon I remember this one so good because my daddy told it to me so many times. It's about his buddy Chief. Now, it's the end of World War I. Everybody was coming back from the war, and man, people was as tickled to death in this country as they could be. Well, Chief decided he's going to get him a job. And he went up to the train depot in Bateyville. They said, well, what do you want to do, Chief? He said, I want to work on the war. When the telegraph war gets tore up, I want to work on the war. Well, they put old Chief to work on the war. Whenever things would get tore up, well, they'd call on him, and here he'd go. Now, Chief, he took a big old step, 2 railroad ties at a time. And one day, his Aunt Mag was out there sweeping off the boards, and she's trying to, straighten things up. Here comes Chief, just a-stepping it out, boy. Aunt Mag said, where are you going in such a hurry, Chief? He looked at her and he said, war trouble, Aunt Mag, war trouble. She drove down that road and run in the house. She grabbed her heart and said, God bust my heart if they went to fighting over there again.
I guess there's always been war trouble, like you say, Uncle Luther.
I reckon so, young. I just reckon so.
How many more of these are we gonna do, Granny?
All of them, honey, till we get them finished.
But why so many? We've already got plenty for tonight's supper, and tomorrow's supper, and the next day, and the next day, and the next.
I know it, honey, I know that. But we've got so many beans this summer, more than we've had in many of a day. Why, it'd be a shame to let those beans go to waste. And this winter, when the snows are flying, they'll be mighty good. Uncle Charlie always said, it'll beat a snowball. And put that phone down now and get the help me.
We don't have to do it this way anymore. There's always going to be food in the grocery store whenever we go.
I know that, honey. You can go to the store and buy a can of beans. But there's something about doing something with your own hands and making your own way. And you know what? They're going to be better for you, too. And we'll save money doing it this way. And we're going to need it to pay for that phone you got attached to you. I guess. You know, I remember when LBJ came to these mountains back in the 60s.
Who's LBJ?
He was the president after John F. Kennedy was shot and killed.
Well, why are you thinking about him?
these beans, I guess, and how times and circumstances change things.
Did he have any of these beans when he came to visit?
I don't know, honey. He might have had some, but I can bet pretty sure that he didn't take any pictures of any growing in anyone's beautiful garden.
Pictures? He was taking pictures?
Selective ones. Pictures that told us slanted half-truth. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't poverty in these mountains, but there was prosperity too. When he took those pictures and those reports back to Washington, they declared war on poverty in these beautiful mountains.
War? What are you talking about, war, Granny?
Like relief. Came in the way of food. They had canned meat, dry milk, and they had some flour and some butter, and some cheese. That's some of the best cheese I ever ate.
Did they have any of these beans in that relief?
No, child, they didn't have any green beans in that relief. We grew our own beans. In fact, we're pretty good at taking care of our own. Now, I ain't saying that we don't need help every now and then. We do. But if those who come bringing help stay around long enough, they find out that we are a strong, proud people with many skills and gifts of our very own.
Well, what's my gift, Granny?
Why, breaking these beans, canning is a gift, child.
Can't texting be a gift?
No, give me that. I'm going to let it rip.
Baker, it's time for me to do your hair, okay?
Oh, hi, Mary. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Are we going to Travelers Rest today? You know, going home?
No, Miss Baker, we're staying right here in Richmond at the home.
Well, then what about you, Mary? Are you going home this weekend?
I wish I could, Miss Baker. I haven't seen my family in weeks, but I gotta work these extra shifts. I got these student loans to pay off.
Well, now, the next time you go, I want you to take me back with you. You can drop me off at Travelers Rest.
Now, Miss Baker, you know I can't do that. No, we've talked about this.
But, honey, I sure would like to get back home. It's been a long time.
This is your home now, Miss Baker. You know that.
No, now this will never be my home. And you always go home on weekends if you can. I guess people have always had to leave home. There's been a lot of them left over my years. But they came back on weekends, though, to see their families, family reunions, weddings, funerals, and so on.
Lean back, Miss Baker.
They never would have left if they hadn't had to. Honey, there was just no other way. They never had none. If they didn't own farms or tobacco crops, things like that, or being a school teacher, people having an education, or a job on the state.
Lean back, Miss Baker.
Of course, now back when I was young, WPA come along. A lot of people worked on that.
What's the WPA, Miss Baker?
Well, that was the Work Progress Administration. A good government program. They put people to work. Well, they was building roads and schools all over the place around here. Now, that helped out a lot back in the 30s. But they might walk 5 or 6 miles to work. Then they'd walk back at night. Now, back then, Mary, they'd work you from can see to can't see.
Can see to can't see. I know all about that working with you in these 12-hour shifts. Just I have a car to get back and forth with, I guess.
Well, now, back in the 40s and 50s, there's a lot of people from home went to Ohio, worked at that Morgan Cannon factory. And a lot of them went to Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati. Detroit to car factories. There's this little town where he lived outside the big city, along with all the other mountain people, Owsley County and around there. They call that place
Taylor, Tucky.
You've heard of Taylor Tucky?
I've heard of Taylor, Tucky, Miss Baker.
Boy, there's a lot of them there too. Then I had this aunt. She went to Dayton to work at a mattress factory. That was just north of Cincinnati. Mary, you know what they call Highway 25 back then?
What they call it, Miss Baker?
The Appalachian Trail! Or the Lonely Run Trail.
Lonely Run Trail? Why do they call it that?
Well, the Lonely Runs, I guess, that people threw out their car windows and went up and down the road from home to Ohio. And I think that might have been a little made-up business.
I guess they didn't have McDonald's on every corner back then, huh?
No, they wasn't. And I tell you, they still don't have a McDonald's in Boone or anywhere else in Owsley County.
Well, I'll tell you, I would rather have a home-cooked meal anyways. That fast food is no good for me. I would rather have a home-cooked meal any day of the week.
That's right. Well, Mary, you know, I taught for 2 years over on Moss Creek. A lot of the folks in, well, they went to work all the way in Chicago.
Chicago? Miss Baker, I would love to go to Chicago or New York or any big city, really. You know where things are happening. There's opportunity.
But honey, what about you people? Wouldn't they miss you? You have a job here. It's not at home, but close. Now back in my day, they had to go all that way. Now they had to leave or start today. Of course, many of them died doing that factory work too, and making perfumes, being exposed to toxic chemicals. Well, they're doing dangerous jobs that nobody else would do. Now, I'll tell you, honey, if they could have, most of them stayed or came back. But now, especially if they left, they knew how good it was to live here.
I see all that, Miss Baker. I feel that, even though I'm just here in Richmond. I miss it back home, but you know, people have told me all my life that I got to get out of here. No, I can't be anybody here in Richmond, much less back in the mountains. People have told me, I got to get out, I got to go to EKU, I got to study, I got to get a good job, and then just keep going. There's nothing for me here. I guess I just always thought the farther away from this place I could get, the more successful I would be.
Now, Mary, honey, that is just a downright shame for you to think of your home place like that. You don't have to if you don't want to. Just look at me. I've been taken away from my home place for years now. There's not one thing I wouldn't give. Just be back there for my last day.
I know, Miss Baker. I know. I'm going to go now, Miss Baker. Your hair's all done. I got to get on to the others.
Well, thank you, honey. Listen, Mary, I want to tell you something. People have had to leave the mountains all my life, and more in order to get by. It's not just nowadays. Some stay, some go, some come back, some don't. Now, it's been that way as long as I've been here. Now, Mary, honey, you just follow your heart. You'll find your way.
In a hospital in the city, 3rd floor, room 329. I was sitting by her bedside. She told stories of better times. When she talked, I'd listen about the way things used to be. She made me feel like I had lived it. When she says this to me, it's a long way back to Booneville, and it's been so many years. I was home back in the mountains. Lord, I wish that I was there. Sometimes I lose my memory, but Booneville's always crystal clear. I don't think it's so far back to Booneville that I can't get there from here. Now since then she has passed on, and I'm outstanding here at my home place in the mountains, just thinking of what she said when the Easter flowers are blooming. That certain breeze in spring and fall, I just can't help but get this feeling. She made it back to Booneville after all. Said it's a long way back to Booneville, and it's been so many years. I was home back in the mountains. Lord, I wish that I was there. Sometimes I lose my memory, but Booneville's always crystal clear. I don't think it's so far back to Booneville I can't get there from here. I don't think it's so far back to Booneville that I can't get there from here.
Courthouse burned again in 1967.
Oh no. Did all the records get lost again?
Not this time, fireproof vault.
That's right, a fireproof vault, so the records were saved. But it took I think 7 years to rebuild that courthouse.
Why did it take so long?
Well, you remember that part about Eliza Moore, who gave the land for the courthouse back in 1843? They had it put in the deed to the county that if the land was reverted back to the Moore heirs, if it wasn't being used for a courthouse.
Well, yeah.
Well, but this time there was hundreds, maybe thousands of Moore heirs.
And the county was having difficulty securing the funds to rebuild that courthouse.
And at least one of those Moore heirs took a notion that maybe that land ought to revert back to him.
That would be my cousin Stimpy.
Yeah.
A lot of people refer to him as Clarence, though, or Youngin. He was an odd bird. He could drink just as well as he could play guitar. One time he decided that he wanted to build an airplane out of his own car. A lot of people refer to it as the Batmobile. So he took that car, put wings and nose and tail on it, painted that thing silver, and drove it straight through the town, proud as punch. One day, after he heard about how the lame's supposed to revert back to the moors, he took a tent out where the courthouse had been, sat down, stayed there for 2 whole weeks, just picking and singing to his heart's content. Most people just thought it was funny, though. That was probably the last prank that he pulled, though, because he died the following year.
And that was the year they finally finished the new courthouse.
A brand spanking new brick courthouse.
Still standing almost after 40 years.
This one's supposed to be fireproof.
I remember Grandma and Grandpa Baker's farm on the South Fork of the Kentucky River. Linda Evans, I remember you.
Isabella Carmack Ambrose and Doshie Smith, I remember you.
Charlie Mays, I remember you.
I remember the game room down the road with the jukebox playing. Charlie Wilson, I remember you.
Uncle John Wilson, I remember you.
Charlotte Marshall, I remember you.
I remember when tobacco used to grow everywhere around here, and my papa had working in it. And all us cousins running around in the field and drinking water from the dipper gourd, because the best water came from the dipper gourd. Betty Marshall and Dory D. Campbell, I remember you.
I remember my grandpa's farm, how it used to be, not what happens to its then. Art Smith, I remember you.
I remember Greta Cady and Daddy.
Dave Turner, Evelyn Raleigh Turner, I remember you.
Reverend Waldemar Bobrowski, I remember you.
My grandmother, Rose Bacon, I remember you.
My grandparents, Clay and Laura Thomas, I remember you.
My grandmother, Clifford B. Strong, I remember you.
Virgil McIntosh, I remember you.
Bessie and Gate, I remember you.
My granny, Emma Riley, I remember you.
Brother Leo Taylor, a gospel preacher for more than 60 years, I remember you.
Carl R. Reynolds, I remember you.
And to all that we come from.
We remember you.